for immediate release. August 29, 2019. DOJ OIG releases report of investigation of former FBI Director James Comey's disclosure of sensitive investigative information and handling of certain memoranda. Department of Justice, DOJ, Inspector General Michael E. Horowitz announced today the release of a report examining former Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, Director James B. Comey's retention, handling, and dissemination of certain memoranda memorializing 7 one-on-one interactions that he had with President-elect and President Donald J. Trump between January 6, 2017, and April 11, 2017. The DOJ Office of the Inspector General, OIG, initiated this investigation, following a referral from the FBI, after the FBI determined that Comey may have shared memos that contained classified information with individuals outside the FBI. At the time, the OIG was aware of Comey's congressional testimony that, after his removal as FBI Director on May 9, 2017, he had authorized a friend to provide the contents of one of the memos, which did not contain classified information, to a reporter for the New York Times. As described in today's report, the OIG concluded that the memos were official FBI records. The OIG determined that Comey violated applicable policies and his FBI employment agreement by providing one of the unclassified memos that contained official FBI information, including sensitive investigative information, to his friend with instructions for the friend to share the contents of the memo with a reporter. Additionally, the OIG determined that Comey, while FBI Director, kept copies of 4 of the 7 memos in a personal safe at his home and, after his removal as FBI Director, violated FBI policies and his FBI employment agreement by failing to notify the FBI that he had retained them, or to seek authorization to retain them. Comey likewise violated applicable policies and his FBI employment agreement by providing copies, following his removal as FBI Director, of the 4 memos he had kept in his home to his 3 private attorneys without FBI authorization. Comey also failed to fulfill his obligation to immediately alert the FBI about his disclosures to his private attorneys once he became aware that the FBI, after Comey's removal, had determined that one of the memos included several words, the names of foreign countries being discussed by the president, that were classified at the confidential level. Upon completing its investigation, the OIG provided its factual findings to the Justice Department for a prosecutorial decision regarding Comey's conduct, as required by the Inspector General Act. After reviewing the matter, the DOJ declined prosecution. The OIG provided today's report to the FBI and to the DOJ Office of Professional Responsibility for action they deem appropriate. Now let us look at the actual report. The complete report is available at oig.justice.gov web link for those interested in reading the complete document. Section C. On page 31 of the OGI report. Comey's March 20, 2017 congressional testimony on FBI's Russia investigation. On March 20, 2017, Comey testified before the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, HPSCI, at a hearing titled The Russian Active Measures Investigation. During the hearing, Comey acknowledged that the FBI had an open investigation involving Russian interference in the 2016 election, but refused on at least a dozen occasions to answer questions about the scope of the investigation or to specify who was under investigation. For example, in his opening statement, Comey said the following: "I have been authorized by the Department of Justice to confirm that the FBI, as part of our counterintelligence mission, is investigating the Russian government's efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election, and that includes investigating the nature of any links between individuals associated with the Trump campaign and the Russian government, and whether there was any coordination between the campaign and Russia's efforts. Because it is an open, ongoing investigation and is classified, I cannot say more about what we are doing and whose conduct we are examining. I know that is extremely frustrating to some folks. I hope you and the American people can understand. The FBI is very careful in how we handle information about our cases and about the people we are investigating. Our ability to share details with the Congress and the American people is limited when those investigations are still open. Which I hope makes sense. We need to protect people's privacy. We just cannot do our work well or fairly if we start talking about it while we're doing it. When questioned by a member of Congress as to whether the FBI was investigating Flynn's conduct, Comey acknowledged the public's intense interest in the FBI's work but noted we can't do it well or fairly to the people we investigate if we talk about it. So I can't comment. At another point in the hearing, when Comey was asked by another member of Congress whether FBI investigations sometimes conclude without a finding of wrongdoing, Comey replied, "That's one of the reasons we don't talk about it, so we don't smear people who don't end up charged with anything." This was just 2 months before his removal from the FBI. Now on to Section F. FBI preservation of the memos. Rybitsky told the OIG that, on the morning of Wednesday, May 10, 2017, Page contacted him to request a full set of the memos. Rybitsky said he asked her if the request was coming from McCabe. And she said yes. 69 Rybitsky said that he was surprised when he learned that Page already had copies of some of the memos because he didn't think anybody maintained a copy other than him, and didn't know how she got them. Rybitsky told the OIG that in response to Page's request, he made 3 sets of copies, one for himself, one for Page to give to McCabe, and one for Baker. He said he distributed the copies, but kept one set of the copies and the originals in the locked drawer in his office desk. Rybitsky told the OIG that other than Memo 1, none of these originals or copies had any classification markings on them. Priestap told the OIG that he received copies of the memos from Page. Priestap's then Deputy Assistant Director for the Counterintelligence Division, Peter Strzok, told the OIG that Priestap instructed him to upload the memos into the FBI's Sentinel case management system, an instruction Strzok said he understood to be relayed from McCabe and Baker. Strzok told the OIG that he participated in getting the memos, reading them, scanning them, and making sure they were serialized into Sentinel, into our case file so that there's a record there. Strzok said he thought he did this a night or two after Comey was removed, but told the OIG that the memos he uploaded were the raw ones without classification. Strzok told the OIG that he helped enter the memos into the FBI's document management system as part of an electronic communication that was marked secret. All of the FBI senior leaders interviewed by the OIG stated that the memos were official government records. For example, McCabe described the set of memos as a record of Comey's official engagement with the president that was created by Comey in his role as FBI director. McCabe told the OIG further that, after Comey's removal, the FBI took steps to ensure that the memos were preserved in FBI systems as FBI records. Baker told us that the memos were related to official business and that they were discussed in the office in connection with Comey's official responsibilities. Rybitsky told the OIG that, since Comey's removal, Rybitsky had treated the memos as FBI records. Rybitsky also said he could not remember Comey ever indicating to him that Comey viewed the memos as personal papers. Priestap characterized the memos as documents produced by the director in his capacity as director. Their FBI work product. FBI personnel with paper copies of the memos told the OIG that they kept them locked in safes in their offices, to the conclusion on page 59 on the report. Section VI Conclusion. Congress has provided the FBI with substantial powers and authorities to gather evidence as part of the FBI's criminal and counterintelligence mission. The FBI uses these authorities every day in its many investigations into allegations of drug trafficking, terrorism, fraud, organized crime, public corruption, espionage, and a host of other threats to national security and public safety. In the process, the FBI lawfully gains access to a significant amount of sensitive information about individuals, many of whom have not been charged, may never be charged, or may not even be a subject of the investigation. For this reason, the civil liberties of every individual who may fall within the scope of the FBI's investigative authorities depend on the FBI's ability to protect sensitive information from unauthorized disclosure. As Comey himself explained in his March 20, 2017 testimony before the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, he was unable to provide details about the nature or scope of the FBI's ongoing investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election because the FBI is very careful in how we handle information about our cases and about the people we are investigating. Our ability to share details with the Congress and the American people is limited when those investigations are still open, which I hope makes sense. We need to protect people's privacy. We just cannot do our work well or fairly if we start talking about it while we're doing it. However, after his removal as FBI director 2 months later, Comey provided a copy of Memo 4, which Comey had kept without authorization, to Richmond with instructions to share the contents with a reporter for the New York Times. Memo 4 included information that was related to both the FBI's ongoing investigation of Flynn and, by Comey's own account, information that he believed and alleged constituted evidence of an attempt to obstruct the ongoing Flynn investigation. Later that same day, the New York Times published an article about Memo 4 entitled, "Comey Memo Says Trump Asked Him to End Flynn Investigation." The responsibility to protect sensitive law enforcement information falls in large part to the employees of the FBI who have access to it through their daily duties. On occasion, some of these employees may disagree with decisions by prosecutors, judges, or higher-ranking FBI and department officials about the actions to take or not take in criminal and counterintelligence matters. They may even, in some situations, distrust the legitimacy of those supervisory, prosecutorial, or judicial decisions. But even when these employees believe that their most strongly held personal convictions might be served by an unauthorized disclosure, the FBI depends on them not to disclose sensitive information. Former Director Comey failed to live up to this responsibility by not safeguarding sensitive information obtained during the course of his FBI employment, and by using it to create public pressure for official action. Comey set a dangerous example for the over 35,000 current FBI employees, and the many thousands more former FBI employees, who similarly have access to or knowledge of non-public information. Comey said he was compelled to take these actions if I love this country. And I love the Department of Justice, and I love the FBI. However, were current or former FBI employees to follow the former directors' example and disclose sensitive information in service of their own strongly held personal convictions, the FBI would be unable to dispatch its law enforcement duties properly, as Comey himself noted in his March 20, 2017 congressional testimony. Comey expressed a similar concern to President Trump, according to Memo 4, in discussing leaks of FBI information, telling Trump that the FBI's ability to conduct its work is compromised if people run around telling the press what we do. This is no doubt part of the reason why Comey's closest advisors used the words surprised, stunned, shocked, and disappointment to describe their reactions to learning what Comey had done. We have previously faulted Comey for acting unilaterally and inconsistent With Department Policy. 103 Comey's unauthorized disclosure of sensitive law enforcement information about the Flynn investigation merits similar criticism. In a country built on the rule of law, it is of utmost importance that all FBI employees adhere to department and FBI policies, particularly when confronted by what appear to be extraordinary circumstances or compelling personal convictions. Comey had several other lawful options available to him to advocate for the appointment of a special counsel, which he told us was his goal in making the disclosure. What was not permitted was the unauthorized disclosure of sensitive investigative information, obtained during the course of FBI employment, in order to achieve a personally desired outcome. The OIG has provided this report to the FBI and to the Department of Justice Office of Professional Responsibility for action they deem appropriate. You need to read the complete report and make up your own mind. Now for the next chapter in the saga. Will the DOJ take any legal actions against Comey for his transgressions, or will he manage to walk away without any consequences? Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe and ring the bell.